She was humiliated by Billionaire CEO at his engagement party, until her little boy called him daddy in front of everyone. You gold-digging liar. Did you really think I wouldn't see through your pathetic attempt to worm your way back into my life? Coming here tonight, dressed like that, pretending to be someone you're not. His words cut through the ballroom like shards of glass. Every conversation stopped. Every head turned. The orchestra fell silent mid-note. Maxwell, please. You don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly. You saw the engagement announcement and couldn't resist. Could you? Had to come here and remind me of the biggest mistake I ever made. The champagne glass slipped from her fingers. It shattered on the marble floor, the sound echoing through the suffocating silence. 300 pairs of eyes watched as Maxwell Stone, billionaire CEO and the man who once promised her forever, destroyed her in front of everyone who mattered in this city. But he had no idea. None of them did. Not about the secret she had been carrying for 4 years. Not about the little boy waiting for her at home who had his father's gray eyes and stubborn chin. Not about the truth that was about to walk through those gilded doors and change everything. Her name is Olivia Bennett, and this is the story of how one word from a 4-year-old boy brought a billionaire to his knees. If you believe in second chances and unexpected twists of fate, hit that like button and join me for a story about love, redemption, and the power of truth. 6 months earlier, Olivia's life was simple, complicated, exhausting but simple. She worked as a senior analyst at Morrison & Associates, a mid-tier consulting firm in downtown Manhattan. Every morning at 5:30, her alarm would shatter whatever dream she was having, usually dreams about sleep. By 6, she was making breakfast for Ethan, her 4-year-old son, the center of her universe and the reason she pushed through every impossible day. "Mommy, can I have dinosaur shapes today?" Ethan asked one particular morning, his dark curls still messy from sleep, his gray eyes bright with hope. "Of course, baby. Dinosaur pancakes coming right up." She poured the batter into the pan, trying to create something that vaguely resembled a stegosaurus. Ethan giggled at her attempt. "That looks like a blob monster, Mommy." "Hey, blob monsters need love too." He laughed, that pure, uninhibited sound that made every sacrifice worth it. Ethan was her miracle, her reason for breathing, and her most carefully guarded secret. Every time she looked at him, she saw echoes of his father, the sharp intelligence in his eyes, the determined set of his jaw when he wanted something, the way his smile could light up an entire room. But she had made peace with raising him alone, or at least she had convinced herself she had. After dropping Ethan at Little Explorers Preschool, she joined the morning crush on the subway. 45 minutes of being pressed against strangers, avoiding eye contact, and pretending the woman next to her wasn't clipping her nails. Just another Tuesday in New York. Morrison & Associates occupied 3 floors of a glass tower in Midtown. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills. Olivia's cubicle was small, gray, and decorated with Ethan's artwork. Finger paintings of their family. Just the two of them. Always just the two of them. "Olivia, got a minute?" Her boss, Patricia Hammond, appeared at her cubicle entrance. Patricia was in her 50s, sharply dressed, with a permanent expression that suggested she had just tasted something bitter. "Of course, Patricia." Olivia followed her to her corner office. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. On clear days you could see all the way to the harbor. Today, gray clouds pressed against the glass. "I have an interesting opportunity for you," Patricia said, settling behind her desk. "You know we've been trying to land Stone Enterprises as a client for years." Olivia's stomach dropped. Stone Enterprises, Maxwell's company, the tech giant that had grown from a startup to a multibillion-dollar empire in less than a decade. She had spent 5 years carefully avoiding any connection to that name. "I'm aware," Olivia managed, keeping her voice steady. "Well, we finally got our foot in the door. Small consulting contract, but it could lead to bigger things. I want you to be the primary analyst on this account." "Patricia, I don't think that's a good idea. Maybe Reginald would be better suited. He has more experience with tech companies." Reginald is already overloaded. Besides, I've seen your work. You're thorough, detail-oriented, and you don't let personal feelings cloud your judgment. This could be a huge career boost for you, Olivia. Partnership track even. Partnership track. The words hung in the air. That kind of promotion would mean financial security. Better schools for Ethan. Maybe even a bigger apartment. But it also meant potential exposure to Maxwell. After 5 years of silence, 5 years of building a life that didn't include him, could she risk it? When do we start? Olivia heard herself say. Next week. But first, there's something else. Stone is hosting a major event next month. An engagement party for Maxwell Stone and Victoria Ashford-Kent. He's invited representatives from all his business partners and potential partners. We received 2 invitations. I'm taking one, and I want you to take the other. The room tilted. Engagement party. Maxwell was getting married. I really don't think I should attend, Olivia said, her voice barely above a whisper. Social events aren't my strong suit. This isn't optional, Olivia. If we want this relationship with Stone Enterprises to develop, we need to show commitment. That means both of us being there. It's at the plaza. Black tie. Mark your calendar. She walked back to her cubicle in a daze. Maxwell was getting married. To someone named Victoria Ashford-Kent. The Ashford-Kents were old money, the kind of family that appeared in society pages and owned summer homes in the Hamptons. Exactly the kind of woman Maxwell's family had always wanted him to marry. Not someone like her. A girl from Queens who worked 3 jobs to put herself through state college. A nobody who had made the mistake of falling in love with someone way out of her league. Olivia pulled up her phone and searched for Victoria Ashford-Kent. The image that appeared made her chest tighten. She was beautiful. Blonde, elegant, with the kind of effortless grace that came from generations of privilege. In every photo, she smiled with perfect confidence, like someone who had never doubted her place in the world. Olivia looked down at her discount store blouse and felt the familiar weight of inadequacy settle over her shoulders. That night, after Ethan was asleep, she stood in her tiny bathroom and stared at her reflection. 5 years had changed her. She was 29 now, no longer the wide-eyed 24-year-old who thought love conquered all. There were shadows under her eyes from too many late nights. Worry lines between her eyebrows. Her hair, once long and carefree, was now pulled back in a practical ponytail. But she was stronger now. She had survived losing Maxwell. She had survived pregnancy alone. She had survived becoming a mother with no support system, no family, and barely enough money to make rent. If she could survive all that, she could survive seeing him again. Couldn't she? The next 3 weeks passed in a blur of work and worry. She threw herself into the Stone Enterprises analysis, carefully avoiding any documents that might have Maxwell's name on them. She worked with their financial team, their operations managers, their mid-level executives. But never him. Never the CEO. At night, she held Ethan a little tighter, watched him sleep and wondered what she would do if Maxwell ever found out. Would he try to take Ethan from her? Would he accuse her of hiding his son? Would he believe her when she told him the truth about why she never reached out? "Mommy, you're squeezing too tight," Ethan murmured one night, half asleep. "Sorry, baby. Mommy just loves you so much. Love you too. Even more than dinosaurs." Coming from Ethan, that was the highest compliment possible. The day of the engagement party arrived like an execution date. Olivia had bought a dress. Nothing fancy. She couldn't afford fancy. But it was black, elegant enough for the plaza, and it made her feel slightly less like an imposter. Her neighbor, Isabella Rodriguez, agreed to watch Ethan for the evening. Isabella Rodriguez was 67, widowed, and had basically adopted them when they moved into the building 3 years ago. She loved Ethan like a grandmother, and he adored her right back. "You look beautiful, Mija," Isabella said when she arrived. "Is this a date? Just a work thing? Boring corporate event." You've been nervous for days about a boring corporate event." Isabella had always been too perceptive for Olivia's comfort. "It's important for my career. That's all." Ethan ran over and hugged Olivia's legs. Mommy looks like a princess. Thank you, baby. You be good for Mrs. Rodriguez. Okay? I'll be home before you wake up. Can we have pancakes tomorrow? Dinosaur pancakes. I promise. The cab ride to the plaza felt both too long and too short. Olivia's hands wouldn't stop shaking. She kept rehearsing what she would say if she saw Maxwell. Keep it professional. Polite. Brief. Congratulate him on his engagement and walk away. Simple. Nothing about this was going to be simple. The plaza was lit up like a palace. Luxury cars lined the entrance, depositing guests in designer gowns and tuxedos. Olivia paid the cab driver and stepped onto the red carpet, immediately feeling underdressed despite her best efforts. The ballroom was spectacular. Crystal chandeliers hung from painted ceilings. Marble columns reached toward the heavens. Flower arrangements that probably cost more than her monthly rent decorated every surface. A string quartet played softly in the corner. Waiters circulated with champagne and hors d'oeuvres. Olivia spotted Patricia near the bar, talking to a group of executives. She waved Olivia over. Olivia, perfect timing. Let me introduce you to some people. The next hour was a blur of handshakes and forced smiles. Everyone wanted to talk about Stone Enterprises, about Maxwell's genius, about how he had revolutionized the tech industry, about his beautiful fiancée and their picture-perfect relationship. Olivia smiled and nodded and died a little inside with each comment. Have you seen the happy couple yet? Someone asked. Not yet, Olivia said, her voice tight. Oh, they're holding court near the main entrance. Maxwell is even more handsome in person. And Victoria, well, she's absolutely radiant. They're like something out of a fairy tale. Fairy tale, right? Olivia excused herself and headed toward the bathroom, needing a moment to breathe, to remind herself why she was here, for her job, for Ethan's future, not to relitigate the past. She was walking back toward the ballroom when she heard his voice. I don't care what the board thinks. The acquisition needs to happen by third quarter or we're walking away. That voice, deep, authoritative, with just a hint of the warmth she remembered from late nights when it was just the two of them. She froze, hidden partially behind a marble column. Maxwell Stone stood 20 feet away, his back to her, talking on his phone. 5 years had been kind to him. He was taller than she remembered, or maybe it was just the way he carried himself now. More confident, more powerful. His dark hair was perfectly styled. His tuxedo fit like it had been painted on. Even from behind, he radiated success. I'll handle it, he said into the phone. I always do. He ended the call and turned around. For one breathless moment, their eyes met. Gray eyes that had once looked at her like she was the only person in the world. Gray eyes that Ethan had inherited. Recognition flickered across his face. Shock, then something harder. His expression closed off, becoming the cold mask of a CEO used to hiding his feelings. Olivia should have walked away, should have disappeared back into the crowd. Instead, she stood there, frozen, as Maxwell walked directly toward her. Olivia Bennett, he said, her name sounding like an accusation. I didn't expect to see you here. Hello, Maxwell. Congratulations on your engagement. Up close, she could see the changes 5 years had carved into him. A few gray strands in his hair, lines around his eyes, a hardness to his jaw that hadn't been there before. He had become exactly what his father always wanted. Titan of industry, untouchable. What are you doing here? He asked, his voice low enough that passersby wouldn't hear, but sharp enough to cut. I work for Morrison and Associates. We're potential partners with Stone Enterprises. My boss asked me to attend. Your boss, he repeated, like he didn't believe her. How convenient. Excuse me? Come on, Olivia. You saw the engagement announcement and couldn't resist showing up. I thought you were above that kind of manipulation. The unfairness of it stole her breath. You think I came here to manipulate you? I didn't even know you'd be here. This is your party. And yet here you are, looking exactly like you did 5 years ago when you walked out of my life without a word. I didn't walk out, Olivia said. her voice rising despite her best efforts. You chose your family over me. Your father made it very clear I wasn't good enough for the Stone family, and you didn't fight for me. You let me go. I let you go? Maxwell's eyes flashed. You disappeared. Changed your number. Moved out of your apartment. I tried to find you. For what? To tell me you'd chosen the family business over us? I already knew. They stood there, two people who had once known each other better than anyone, now strangers armed with 5 years of resentment. Maxwell, darling, there you are. A woman glided toward them, Victoria Ashford-Kent in the flesh. She was even more beautiful in person. Her champagne-colored gown probably cost more than Olivia's car. Diamonds sparkled at her throat and ears. She looked like she had been born for this exact moment. She looped her arm through Maxwell's and smiled at Olivia with polite curiosity. Who's your friend? This is Olivia Bennett, Maxwell said, his voice carefully neutral. She works for one of our potential consulting partners. How lovely, Victoria said, though her eyes assessed Olivia from head to toe and clearly found her lacking. Are you enjoying the party? It's beautiful, Olivia managed. You've done an amazing job. Thank you, Maxwell, and I wanted something elegant but not too stuffy. We're trying to blend our family's traditions, you know. It's been quite the undertaking. She laughed, a musical sound that probably charmed everyone she met. Olivia wanted to hate her, but she couldn't. She seemed genuinely nice, just completely unaware that she was standing next to the man who had shattered Olivia's heart and given her the greatest gift of her life. Darling, your parents are asking for you, Victoria said to Maxwell. We should make the rounds. Of course. Maxwell looked at Olivia one more time. Enjoy the party, Miss Bennett. Miss Bennett. Like they were strangers. Like he hadn't once whispered her name in the dark like a prayer. Olivia watched them walk away, Victoria leaning into Maxwell's side, fitting perfectly into the space she had once occupied. They looked right together, like they belonged in this world of crystal and champagne and old money. She grabbed a glass from a passing waiter and downed it in one gulp. This was a mistake. Coming here was a mistake. She needed to stay long enough to be professional, then get out. The next hour crawled by. Olivia made small talk with people whose names she immediately forgot. She avoided Maxwell and Victoria. Then Patricia found her again. Olivia, I need you to network more. This is a golden opportunity. I saw you talking to Maxwell Stone earlier. That's exactly what we need. Make connections. Patricia, I don't think that's appropriate. He's the groom, which makes him the most important person here. His approval could make or break our contract. Go mingle near the main group. Be visible. She practically pushed Olivia toward where Maxwell and Victoria held court, surrounded by business associates and family members. Olivia lingered at the edges, trying to be visible without actually engaging. That's when she heard Victoria's mother, Constance Ashford-Kent, a woman who looked like she had been preserved in aspic sometime in the 1950s. Maxwell, dear, you really should consider stronger security at these events, Constance said, her voice carrying across the circle. One never knows who might try to infiltrate society gatherings. Mother, everyone here was carefully vetted, Victoria said. I'm sure, darling, but I've lived long enough to recognize social climbers when I see them. That woman earlier, for instance. The one in the discount dress. She was staring at Maxwell like she knew him. Olivia's face burned. She was talking about her. Her discount dress. Maxwell's expression darkened. Constance, that's not necessary. I'm just saying, dear boy, you need to be careful, especially now that you're marrying into our family. There are always people who think they can attach themselves to wealth and success. Olivia should have walked away, should have gone to the bathroom or the bar or anywhere else. But her feet wouldn't move. She stood there, listening to herself being dissected by people who knew nothing about her. She works for a consulting firm, Maxwell said. She's here professionally. If you say so. I just remember when you were younger, before you met our Victoria, you had that unfortunate tendency to befriend people from inappropriate backgrounds. Thank goodness you outgrew that phase. Inappropriate backgrounds. She meant Olivia. She meant people like her. Victoria touched her mother's arm. Mother, please. This is supposed to be a celebration. Of course, darling. I'm just protective of you both. You're building something wonderful together. The merger of Stone Industries and Ashford Kent Enterprises will be legendary. Nothing should threaten that. The merger. Of course. This wasn't just a marriage. It was a business deal. Maxwell was doing exactly what his father had always planned. Marrying someone appropriate. Someone whose family name opened doors. Someone unlike Olivia in every way. She turned to leave, to escape before she heard anything else that could hurt her, when disaster struck. A waiter carrying a tray of champagne flutes bumped into someone and stumbled directly into her path. She tried to dodge, but her heel caught on her dress. She stumbled forward, colliding with Maxwell's back. He spun around. Champagne soaked the front of his tuxedo. The entire circle fell silent. Everyone stared at Olivia. "I'm so sorry," she gasped. "The waiter. I didn't mean to." Maxwell looked down at his ruined tuxedo, then back at her. Something in his expression shifted, hardened, and she realized too late that he thought she had done it on purpose. "Of course you didn't," he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Just an unfortunate accident." "Maxwell, it was. I wasn't even looking where I was going." Victoria handed him a napkin, her face a mask of polite concern. Constance looked vindicated, like Olivia had just proven every horrible thing she had said about her. "You know what? I think we need to have a conversation," Maxwell said, grabbing Olivia's elbow and steering her away from the group. His grip was firm but not painful. They walked through the crowd toward a quieter corner of the ballroom. "Maxwell, please. I really didn't mean to." "Save it, Olivia." He released her arm once they were away from prying eyes. "What are you really doing here?" "I told you. My boss invited me. This is work, right? And the champagne incident? Just a clumsy mistake." "Yes, I don't know what you think is happening here, but I'm not trying to sabotage your engagement party." "No? Because from where I'm standing, you show up uninvited to my engagement party, you seek me out for a conversation about our past, and then you literally throw champagne on me. What am I supposed to think? That sometimes accidents happen? That the world doesn't revolve around you and your paranoid theories?" The words came out sharper than she intended. Maxwell's eyes narrowed. "Paranoid? That's rich coming from someone who vanished without a trace 5 years ago." "I didn't vanish. I left. There's a difference. You didn't even give me a chance to explain." "Explain what?" "Your father called me to his office. He offered me money. A lot of money. To leave you alone. To stop corrupting his precious heir with my inappropriate background. He said you knew about the offer. That you agreed with him." Maxwell's face went pale. "He told you I agreed?" "He showed me text messages. From your phone. Saying I was a distraction you couldn't afford. That you needed to focus on the family business." "Those weren't. Olivia, those messages were taken out of context. I was venting to my father about work stress. He twisted everything. And yet you never called me. Never tried to explain. You let me leave. Because you changed your number. Moved apartments. Blocked me on every social media platform. What was I supposed to do? Hire a private investigator?" They stood there, breathing hard. 5 years of hurt and misunderstanding crackling between them like electricity. "This is pointless," Olivia finally said. "That was 5 years ago. You're getting married. You've clearly moved on. Can we just pretend tonight never happened? Can we?" Maxwell studied her face like he was trying to solve a puzzle. "Because you're working with my company now, which means we'll have to interact. Can you handle that?" "I'm a professional. I can handle anything." "Good. Then we have an understanding. What happened between us stays in the past. We're colleagues now. Nothing more." "Nothing more," Olivia agreed, even though the words tasted like ash. Maxwell nodded once and walked back toward the party. Olivia watched him rejoin Victoria, watched her lean into him with easy familiarity, watched him smile at something she said. The perfect couple. The perfect merger. Olivia made her way to the exit. She had stayed long enough to satisfy Patricia's requirements. Now she just wanted to go home, hold her son, and forget this entire nightmare. But the universe, it seemed, had other plans. She was almost to the door when she heard a commotion behind her. Raised voices. A child crying. She turned to see Isabella rushing through the entrance, looking frantic, carrying a very upset Ethan. "Miss Olivia," Isabella called out. "I'm so sorry." He woke up with a terrible earache. "Crying for you. I didn't know what to do. I tried calling, but you didn't answer." Olivia's phone. She had silenced it. Oh God. She rushed over and took Ethan from Isabella's arms. He was burning up with fever, tears streaming down his face. "Mommy," he sobbed. "My ear hurts." "I know, baby. I know. We'll get you to a doctor right now." Olivia turned to leave. Ethan clutched against her chest, when his crying suddenly stopped. He raised his head from her shoulder and looked past her, his gray eyes focusing on something behind her. "No, please no." "Daddy," Ethan said, his voice clear and loud in the suddenly quiet ballroom. Olivia turned slowly, already knowing what she would see. Maxwell stood 10 feet away, frozen, his face a mask of shock. Behind him, Victoria's expression shifted from confusion to dawning horror. Around them, 300 guests fell silent, all eyes locked on the little boy in Olivia's arms who had just called the groom daddy. Ethan reached out his small hand toward Maxwell. "Daddy, my ear hurts." The champagne glass Olivia had been holding hours earlier was nothing compared to the sound of her entire life shattering in that moment. Maxwell took a step forward, his eyes locked on Ethan, on the gray eyes that matched his own, on the dark hair, on the stubborn chin. Recognition dawned across his face like a sunrise, followed immediately by betrayal. "Olivia," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "What is this?" Victoria's mother gasped, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Well, this is certainly unexpected." "Maxwell, darling, what is going on?" Victoria asked, her voice trembling. But Maxwell wasn't looking at her. He was staring at Ethan, at Olivia, his expression cycling through shock, rage, and something that looked like grief. "How old is he?" Maxwell asked. "4," Olivia whispered. "He's 4 years old." The math wasn't hard to do. 4 years old meant he was born roughly 9 months after Olivia disappeared from Maxwell's life. 4 years old meant Maxwell had a son he never knew about. "You knew," Maxwell said, his voice rising. "All this time, you knew I had a son and you never told me?" "Maxwell, it's not what you think. Not what I think. I think you've been hiding my child from me for 4 years. I think you came here tonight pretending to be professional when really you were. What? Planning this? Planning to humiliate me at my own engagement party." His words echoed through the silent ballroom. Every phone was out now, every guest recording. This wasn't just a private confrontation anymore. This was public destruction. "You gold-digging liar," Maxwell continued, his voice filled with venom she had never heard from him before. "Did you really think I wouldn't see through your pathetic attempt to worm your way back into my life? Coming here tonight, dressed like that, pretending to be someone you're not. Maxwell, please. You don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly. You saw the engagement announcement and couldn't resist. Could you? Had to come here and remind me of the biggest mistake I ever made. Had to trot out a child and claim he's mine." "Claim?" The word cut through her shock. "You think I'm lying? Look at him, Maxwell. Look at your son." Ethan whimpered against her shoulder, frightened by the loud voices and angry faces. Olivia held him tighter, her body automatically shifting to protect him from Maxwell's rage. Victoria stepped forward, her face pale but composed. "Maxwell, perhaps we should take this somewhere private." "Private?" Maxwell laughed, a harsh sound that made Ethan flinch. "She made this public. She brought a child to my engagement party and had him call me daddy in front of everyone. Nothing about this is private anymore." "I didn't plan this," Olivia said, her voice shaking. Ethan was sick. Isabella brought him because he was crying for me. He saw you and he has your picture. At home. He's been asking about his father and I showed him your picture. I never thought he would remember. Never thought he would see you here. That stopped Maxwell cold. You showed him my picture? He deserves to know his father exists. Even if his father doesn't know about him. Doesn't know? Whose fault is that? Olivia. The crowd pressed closer. Phones still recording. Everyone desperate to catch every word of the scandal unfolding before them. This story would be all over social media within the hour. The billionaire CEO. The secret love child. The ruined engagement party. Patricia pushed through the crowd. Her face a mixture of horror and fury. Olivia, what have you done? Patricia, I can explain. Explain? You just destroyed our relationship with our biggest potential client. You're fired. Effective immediately. Security will escort you out. Wait, Maxwell said, holding up a hand. Nobody's escorting anyone anywhere until I get answers. He turned back to Olivia, and this time she saw past the anger to something deeper. Pain. Confusion. Fear. Is he mine? Maxwell asked quietly. Tell me the truth. Is that little boy my son? Ethan had stopped crying. He was watching Maxwell with curious, intelligent eyes. The same eyes that looked back at him. Yes, Olivia said. Ethan is your son. Victoria made a small sound. Not quite a sob. Not quite a gasp. Just a sound of something breaking. How long have you known? Maxwell asked. Since 2 weeks after I left. I found out I was pregnant and I didn't know what to do. Your father had just paid me off to leave you alone. He made it clear I would never be accepted by your family. What was I supposed to do? Come back and tell you I was pregnant? Give you another reason to think I was trying to trap you? You should have told me, Maxwell said. Whatever else happened between us, you should have told me I was going to be a father. You're right, Olivia said, tears streaming down her face now. You're absolutely right. I made a choice and maybe it was the wrong one. But I made it to protect my son. To protect him from being rejected by a family that didn't want me. To protect him from growing up knowing his father chose money and status over us. I never chose that, Maxwell said. Didn't you? You're standing here at your engagement party to a woman whose family is merging with yours. A woman who brings everything to the table that I never could. You made your choice, Maxwell. You made it 5 years ago. Maxwell opened his mouth to respond, but Victoria spoke first. I think I need some air, she said, her voice barely controlled. Maxwell, when you're ready to discuss our future, you know where to find me. She walked toward the exit, her head held high, her mother rushing after her. The crowd parted for them like the Red Sea. Whispers followed in their wake. This story shows how one moment can change everything, Olivia said to no one in particular, looking at the phones still recording. If you've ever faced a life-altering revelation, share your thoughts in the comments below. Maxwell ran a hand through his hair, a gesture Olivia remembered from late nights when he was stressed. We need to talk. Really talk. Not here. Not like this. I need to get Ethan to a doctor, Olivia said. His fever is getting worse. I'll take you. My car is outside. We can talk on the way. Maxwell, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't care what you think is a good idea. That's my son. My son who I just found out exists. I'm not letting you disappear again. Isabella touched Olivia's arm. Miss Olivia, he's right. The baby needs a doctor. Let him help. Olivia looked down at Ethan, who was burning up against her chest, his little body trembling with fever. Her pride wasn't worth his health. Fine, but just to the hospital. That's all. Maxwell nodded and gestured toward the exit. The crowd parted for them this time. Olivia caught glimpses of faces as they walked. Shock, judgment, fascination. Tomorrow they would be the story everyone was talking about. The scandal of the season. Maxwell's car was a sleek black Mercedes that probably cost more than Olivia would make in 5 years. His driver opened the door without comment, professional enough not to react to the unexpected passengers. Nearest emergency room, Maxwell told him. Fast. Ethan had quieted in Olivia's arms, exhausted from crying. He kept stealing glances at Maxwell, who sat across from them, his hands clenched on his knees. What's his full name? Maxwell asked after a long silence. Ethan Alexander Bennett. Alexander. That's my middle name. I know. Maxwell's jaw worked. What else haven't you told me? He loves dinosaurs, especially Stegosaurus. He's smart, Maxwell. Scary smart. He taught himself to read at 3. He asks questions about everything. He wants to know how things work, why the sky is blue, where stars come from. He's kind. He shares his toys even when he doesn't want to. He hugs me every morning and tells me he loves me more than dinosaurs, which is his highest compliment. Maxwell's eyes were bright with unshed tears. I missed 4 years. 4 years of his life. I know, and I'm sorry. I really am. But I didn't do it to hurt you. I did it because I was scared and alone, and your father made it very clear that I would never be welcome in your world. My father, Maxwell said bitterly. Always my father. Do you know he died 2 years ago? I didn't know.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. He was a controlling bastard who manipulated everyone around him, including me, especially me. But that doesn't excuse what you did, Olivia. Nothing excuses keeping a child from his father. You're right, Olivia said quietly. Nothing excuses it. All I can do is apologize and try to make it right going forward. If you want to be part of Ethan's life, I won't stop you. But I need you to understand something. He's my whole world. If you're going to be in his life, you need to be all in. Not just when it's convenient. Not just when you feel guilty. All in. Because I won't let him get attached to you just to have you disappear when things get complicated. Maxwell looked at Ethan, really looked at him. He really does have my eyes. And your stubborn chin. And your love of asking impossible questions. Does he know about me? He knows his daddy is a very important man who lives far away. I told him that someday, when he's older, maybe he could meet you. I never said you didn't want him. I never told him you abandoned us. I wanted him to have the option of loving you, if you ever gave him the chance. Mommy? Ethan mumbled, half asleep. Is this my daddy? Olivia looked at Maxwell, who nodded slightly. Yes, baby. This is your daddy. Ethan smiled, even through his fever. I knew you'd come, he said to Maxwell. Mommy said you would. Then he fell asleep, his hot little body pressed against Olivia, trusting in a way that only children can trust. The emergency room was busy, but Maxwell's name opened doors. Within minutes, they were in a private examination room. A pediatrician examined Ethan, diagnosed an ear infection, and prescribed antibiotics. He'll be fine, the doctor assured them. The fever should break within 24 hours. Keep him hydrated and make sure he finishes all the antibiotics. Thank you, Olivia said. Maxwell pulled out his credit card. I'll take care of the bill. That's not necessary. He's my son. I'm taking care of the bill. Olivia was too exhausted to argue. They collected the prescription and walked back to the car. Ethan woke up enough to take his first dose of medicine, then dozed off again. Where do you live? Maxwell asked. Olivia gave him her address. He didn't comment on the neighborhood, which was neither good nor bad, just working class. The kind of place where people worked hard and tried to get by. When they pulled up in front of her building, Maxwell got out with them. I'll help you get him upstairs. Maxwell, it's late. Don't you need to get back to Victoria? Victoria can wait. My son needs to be put to bed. They rode the elevator in silence. Isabella was waiting in Olivia's apartment, having taken her own cab back. She took one look at them and quietly excused herself. Olivia's apartment was small. One bedroom which Ethan and she shared. Tiny kitchen. A living room that doubled as her office. But it was clean and filled with Ethan's artwork and toys. It was home. Maxwell looked around, taking it all in. Olivia saw him notice the discount furniture, the thrift store decorations, the stack of bills on the kitchen counter, the life she had built without him. His bed is through here, Olivia said. leading him to their bedroom. Ethan's toddler bed was wedged in the corner, covered with dinosaur sheets. Olivia laid him down gently and pulled the covers over him. He stirred but didn't wake. Maxwell stood in the doorway watching. "He sleeps in here with you? We only have one bedroom. He needs his own space eventually, but for now this works." "This isn't right," Maxwell said. "He should have his own room. You should have better than this." "We have everything we need," Olivia said, more sharply than she intended. "I've been taking care of him just fine on my own. I'm not criticizing you. I'm saying you shouldn't have to struggle like this. Not when I have resources. Not when he's my son." They moved back into the living room. Maxwell sat on her worn couch, looking out of place in his expensive tuxedo, surrounded by her modest life. "So what happens now?" Olivia asked. "Now? I want a paternity test. Not because I don't believe you. Look at him, of course he's mine. But for legal purposes, I need documentation." "Legal purposes?" "Child support, custody arrangements. I want to be part of his life, Olivia. Really part of it. Not just a stranger who sends money." "And Victoria? Your engagement?" Maxwell's expression darkened. "I don't know. She left tonight without saying much. Her mother was ready to kill me. The merger between our families was supposed to be announced next month. Now all of that is in jeopardy. I'm sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. Didn't you? Even a little bit? You must have thought about what would happen if I ever found out." "I thought about it every day," Olivia admitted. "But I always imagined I would be the one to tell you. On my terms. When I was ready. Not like this. Never like this." Maxwell leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. "Do you know what the worst part is? I always wanted kids. Victoria and I had talked about it. Someday after the merger, after things settled down, we would start a family. And all this time I already had a son. A son who's been growing up without me. I've been planning for someday when someday was already here. You can still have that. With Victoria. With your own family." "Ethan is my family," Maxwell said fiercely. "He's my son. Nothing changes that. But everything changes that. You can't just slot us into your perfect life, Maxwell. We don't fit. We never fit. Maybe I don't want a perfect life. Maybe I want a real one." They sat in silence for a long moment. Outside, the city hummed with late-night energy. Inside, in the bedroom, Ethan slept peacefully, unaware that his entire life had just shifted on its axis. "I should go," Maxwell finally said, standing up. "It's been a long night, but I'll call you tomorrow. We need to set up that paternity test and start discussing arrangements." "Arrangements," Olivia repeated. The word felt cold. "Clinical. For Ethan. I want to do this right, Olivia. I want to be his father. Really be his father. That means regular visits, involvement in his life, making decisions together about his future. And if Victoria doesn't accept that?" Maxwell paused at the door. "Then Victoria and I have some serious talking to do." After he left, Olivia stood in her quiet apartment and tried to process everything that had happened. 12 hours ago, she was a single mother with a secret. Now that secret was splashed across social media. Her job was gone, and Maxwell Stone knew he had a son. She checked her phone. 47 missed calls. Hundreds of text messages. Her social media accounts had exploded with notifications. She turned the phone off and went to check on Ethan. He was sleeping peacefully, his fever already starting to break. She sat on the edge of his bed and stroked his hair. "What have I done, baby?" she whispered. "What have I done to our lives?" The next morning, Olivia woke to pounding on her door. She stumbled out of bed, checking on Ethan first. He was awake, his fever gone, playing quietly with his toy dinosaurs. "Stay here, baby," she told him. She opened the door to find 3 reporters with cameras and microphones. "Miss Bennett, is it true that Maxwell Stone is the father of your child? How long have you been hiding this secret? Were you planning to extort money from him?" Olivia slammed the door and locked it. Her hands were shaking. This was a nightmare. An absolute nightmare. Her phone, which she had turned back on to check for messages from Maxwell, rang immediately. Unknown number. She answered anyway. "Stop calling me," she said. "Olivia, it's Maxwell. Don't answer the door. Don't talk to anyone. I'm sending security to your building. They'll keep the reporters away." How did they even find me? Someone at the party posted video. It went viral. You're all over the news. Both of us are. Olivia moved to the window and peeked through the curtains. More reporters were gathering on the street below. "This is insane," she said. "I know. Listen, I'm coming over. We need to get you and Ethan somewhere safe. Somewhere private where we can figure this out." "Maxwell, I don't need you to rescue me. This isn't about rescue. This is about protecting our son from a media circus. Please, Olivia, let me help." An hour later, Maxwell arrived with 2 security guards who cleared a path through the reporters. He was wearing jeans and a casual shirt, looking more like the man Olivia remembered from 5 years ago than the CEO from last night. Ethan ran to him immediately. "Daddy, you came back." Maxwell's expression softened. He crouched down to Ethan's level. "Hey buddy, how are you feeling?" "My ear doesn't hurt anymore. Mommy gave me medicine." "That's good. Really good. Listen, how would you like to go on an adventure today? You and your mom and me." Ethan's eyes went wide. "A real adventure?" "A real adventure. We're gonna go stay at my house for a little while. Would you like that?" "Does your house have dinosaurs?" Maxwell laughed. "Not real ones, but I bet we could get some toys. Would you like that?" "Yes. Mommy, can we go? Please." Olivia wanted to say no, wanted to maintain some independence. But reporters were banging on apartment doors, harassing her neighbors. This building wasn't safe anymore. Not for Ethan. "Okay," she said. "We'll go. But just until this dies down." Maxwell's penthouse was everything Olivia's apartment wasn't. Spacious, modern, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. Ethan ran around, eyes wide with wonder, taking in every detail. "This is where you live?" he asked Maxwell. "It's like a castle. It's pretty big, isn't it? Come on, let me show you your room." "My room? I get my own room." Maxwell led them down a hallway to a guest bedroom. It was bigger than Olivia's entire apartment. King-sized bed, sitting area, private bathroom. "This is actually the guest room," Maxwell said. "But I was thinking maybe we could turn the room next door into a bedroom just for you. Would you like to help me pick out furniture? Maybe some dinosaur stuff?" Ethan looked at Olivia for permission. She nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. "Yes," Ethan said. "Can I have a Stegosaurus bed?" "We'll see what we can find." Maxwell's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and his expression tightened. "I need to take this. It's Victoria. Make yourselves comfortable. There's food in the kitchen. Anything you need." He stepped out onto the balcony, and Olivia could see him through the glass, pacing as he talked. The conversation looked tense. She helped Ethan settle in, unpacking the few clothes they had hastily thrown into a bag. He was exhausted from the excitement and fell asleep within an hour, sprawled across the massive bed like a starfish. When Olivia came back to the living room, Maxwell was still on the balcony. She made herself coffee in his restaurant-quality kitchen and tried not to think about how easily she could get used to this. How dangerous that would be. Maxwell finally came back inside, looking defeated. "How did it go?" Olivia asked. "About as well as you'd expect. Victoria wants to postpone the wedding, possibly cancel it entirely. Her family is furious. The merger is falling apart. The board is demanding answers." He collapsed onto the couch. 24 hours ago, I had everything planned out. Now everything is chaos." "I'm sorry," Olivia said quietly. "Stop apologizing. This isn't your fault. Well, hiding Ethan was your fault. But the rest of this? My father created this mess with his manipulations. I continued it by not fighting harder for you 5 years ago. Victoria and we were never about love. We were about what made sense on paper. About family expectations and business deals. Do you love her? Maxwell looked at Olivia, really looked at her. I thought I could. I thought love was something you built over time with the right person. Someone appropriate. Someone who fit. But the truth is, I never stopped thinking about you. About what we had. About what could have been if I had been brave enough to stand up to my father. Maxwell, don't. Don't what? Tell the truth? We're past the point of hiding things, Olivia. You're engaged. You're grieving the loss of your perfect plan. You're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking more clearly than I have in years. He stood up and moved closer. When I saw Ethan last night, when I realized he was mine, it was like getting hit by lightning. Everything I thought I wanted, everything I thought mattered, it all just fell away. The only thing that mattered was that little boy. And you. The family I didn't know I had. We're not a family, Olivia said, even though the words hurt. We're two people who have to figure out how to co-parent. That's all. Is it? Because when I look at you, I don't see just Ethan's mother. I see the woman I fell in love with. The woman I never stopped loving. Even when I tried to convince myself I had moved on. You can't just say things like that. You can't just decide after 5 years that you want us back. Life doesn't work that way. Why not? Why can't it work that way? Because I've spent 5 years learning to live without you. Learning to stand on my own. Learning that I don't need a man to validate my existence. I won't go back to being that girl who waited for you to choose her. I won't do that to myself or to Ethan. Maxwell's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and sighed. It's my lawyer. We need to set up that paternity test. And we need to discuss custody arrangements. But this conversation isn't over, Olivia. Not by a long shot. The paternity test was a formality. The results came back 3 days later confirming what they already knew. Ethan Alexander Bennett was Maxwell Stone's biological son. With that confirmation came a wave of legal paperwork. Child support arrangements, custody schedules, healthcare decisions, educational planning. Every aspect of Ethan's life suddenly required negotiation and documentation. Maxwell's lawyer was a shark named Gregory Thorne. He sat across from Olivia in a conference room that probably cost more per hour than she used to make in a week. Mr. Stone wants joint custody, Gregory said. 50-50 split. Alternating weeks. Absolutely not, Olivia said. Ethan is 4 years old. He's never been away from me for more than a few hours. You can't just rip him away for a week at a time. My client has rights, Gregory countered. Rights that were denied to him for 4 years because of your choices. Your client's father paid me to leave. Created a hostile environment that made me believe I had no other option. That's an interesting story, Miss Bennett. Do you have proof? She didn't. Winston Stone had been too smart to leave a paper trail. The money had been cash. The threats had been verbal. Her word against a dead man's reputation. Maxwell held up a hand. Gregory, that's enough. Olivia, I don't want to fight. I want what's best for Ethan. What does he need? He needs stability. Routine. Familiar surroundings. We can start with shorter visits. A few hours, then gradually increase to full days. Let him adjust. That could take months. It will take as long as it takes. I won't traumatize my son because you're in a hurry to make up for lost time. Maxwell studied her for a long moment. Okay, we'll do it your way. Slow and steady. But I want to be involved in everything. Doctor's appointments, preschool events, daily decisions. I'm not just a weekend dad. Fair enough. Over the next few weeks, they fell into an awkward routine. Maxwell would come to the penthouse, where Ethan and Olivia were still staying, and spend time with his son. They would build block towers, read stories about dinosaurs, go to the park and feed the ducks. Olivia watched from a distance as they bonded. Watched Ethan's face light up whenever Maxwell arrived. Watched Maxwell transform from a hardened CEO into a gentle father who got down on his hands and knees to play. It was beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. Victoria came by once. She looked thinner, sadder. The engagement ring was gone from her finger. I wanted to see who he was, she said, watching Ethan play through the window. The boy who changed everything. I'm sorry, Olivia said. I never wanted to hurt you. I know. That's what makes this harder. I can't even hate you properly. You were just trying to protect your son. And Maxwell, he's different now. More real. The man I was engaged to was all polish and perfection. This version, the one who plays dinosaurs and changes diapers, that's someone I never got to know. Do you still love him? Victoria smiled sadly. I don't know if I ever did. Not really. We were perfect on paper. Perfect for our families. Perfect for business. But we weren't perfect for each other. Maybe this is better. For all of us. She left shortly after. Olivia never saw her again, though she heard she married a banker 2 years later and moved to London. One evening, about 6 weeks after the disastrous engagement party, Olivia found Maxwell sitting alone on the balcony. Ethan was asleep. The city glittered below them like a blanket of stars. Can I join you? She asked. Please. She sat down, keeping a careful distance between them. You've been good with him. Really good. He adores you. He's easy to adore. Smart, funny, kind. He's the best thing I never knew I was missing. Maxwell, we need to talk about long-term plans. We can't live in your penthouse forever. Ethan and I need to find a place of our own. Why? Because this isn't our home. Because I need to rebuild my career. Because living here blurs too many lines. What if I don't want the lines to be clear? What if I want them blurred? Don't. Don't what? Don't tell you that I wake up every morning grateful that you're here? Don't admit that I love hearing Ethan's laughter echoing through rooms that used to be silent? Don't confess that I've spent 6 weeks remembering why I fell in love with you in the first place. Maxwell, you're confusing gratitude with love. Confusing family feelings with romantic feelings. Am I? Or are you just scared? Of course I'm scared. I'm terrified. 5 years ago you broke my heart. Letting you back in means risking that again. But this time it's not just my heart on the line. It's Ethan's too. If we try this and it doesn't work, he's the one who suffers. And if we don't try, if we spend the rest of our lives wondering what if, isn't that a different kind of suffering? Olivia didn't have an answer for that. The turning point came on a rainy Saturday afternoon. Ethan had been with Maxwell all day while Olivia ran errands. When she came back, she found them in the living room. Maxwell was teaching Ethan to play chess. He's too young for chess, she said. He's smart enough to learn the basics. Watch. Ethan moved his knight, just as Maxwell had shown him. Like this, Daddy? Exactly like that, buddy. You're a natural. Olivia stood there watching them, their heads bent together over the chessboard, and something inside her shifted. This was real. This wasn't a fantasy or a temporary arrangement. This was a father and son building a relationship. This was a family forming, whether she was ready or not. That night, after Ethan was in bed, Olivia found Maxwell in his home office, working late as usual. I've been thinking, she said from the doorway. He looked up, his expression guarded. About what you said. About blurred lines and second chances and what ifs. And I'm still scared. I'm terrified, actually, but I'm also tired of running. Tired of protecting myself from possibilities. Ethan deserves a family. A real family. Not just scheduled custody exchanges and awkward co-parenting conversations. Maxwell stood up slowly. What are you saying, Olivia? I'm saying maybe we could try. Really try. Not rush into anything. Not pretend the past didn't happen. But try to build something real. For Ethan. For us. Are you sure? Because if we do this, I'm all in. I'm not halfway committed. I'm not looking for convenient. I want the real thing. The messy, complicated, beautiful real thing. I'm not sure of anything except that I don't want to wake up in 20 years wishing I had been brave enough to try. Maxwell crossed the room in 3 steps and cupped her face in his hands. I'm going to spend the rest of my life making up for the 5 years I lost with you. With our son. I'm going to be the man you deserved back then. The man you deserve now. Just be yourself, she said. That's all I ever wanted. He He kissed her then, soft and careful and full of promise. It wasn't the passionate kiss of 5 years ago. It was better, deeper. A kiss between two people who had been broken and were choosing to heal together. The next year was not easy. Rebuilding trust never is. There were arguments about Ethan's schooling, disagreements about discipline, moments when old wounds resurfaced and threatened to pull them apart. But there were also good moments, great moments. Ethan's first day of kindergarten, with both of them there to drop him off. Family dinners where they laughed until they cried. Quiet evenings where Maxwell and Olivia talked until dawn, finally sharing all the things they had kept hidden. Maxwell resigned from Stone Enterprises. He sold his shares and used the money to start a foundation for single parents who needed support. He said if his father's legacy was going to mean anything, it should be helping people, not building empires. Olivia went back to school and got her MBA. Maxwell supported her every step of the way, watching Ethan while she studied, celebrating every achievement like it was his own. They didn't get married right away. They weren't in a hurry. They had time. Time to build a foundation. Time to become the family they were meant to be. 1 year after that disastrous engagement party, they stood in the same ballroom at the plaza. But this time it wasn't an engagement party. It was Ethan's 5th birthday celebration. A massive dinosaur-themed extravaganza that would have made his 4-year-old self explode with joy. "This is too much," Olivia told Maxwell as she surveyed the life-size dinosaur sculptures and the professional paleontologists he had hired to teach the kids about fossils. "It's not too much. It's exactly enough." Ethan ran over, wearing a T-Rex costume, his face painted with scales. "Mommy, Daddy, come see. They have real fossils." Real fossils. Of course they did. Olivia watched her son drag his father toward the fossil display, both of them laughing, both of them completely absorbed in each other. 1 year ago they were strangers. Now they were inseparable. Maxwell caught Olivia's eye across the room and smiled. That smile that had first captured her heart 10 years ago. That smile that had broken it 5 years ago. That smile that was now stitching it back together, one day at a time. "Mommy, aren't you coming?" Ethan called. "I'm coming, baby." She walked toward her family. Her real, messy, complicated, beautiful family. And she thought about how one moment, one word from a 4-year-old boy had changed everything, had brought a billionaire to his knees, had given them all a second chance at the life they were meant to live. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to Mr. Ellington Love Lines for more powerful stories about love, forgiveness, and finding your way home. Share in the comments if you believe in second chances, and remember, it's never too late to create the life and family you were meant to have. Sometimes the biggest scandals lead to the greatest blessings. Sometimes the worst moments become the best memories. And sometimes, just sometimes, love really does get a second chance. The champagne glass that shattered on the marble floor that night wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. The beginning of a family that fought through pain and pride and past mistakes to find their way to each other. And in the end, isn't that what we're all searching for? Someone to fight for. Someone to fight with. Someone worth the risk of a broken heart. Olivia found that in Maxwell. He found it in her. And together they gave it to Ethan, their son. Their miracle. The little boy who called a billionaire daddy and changed all of their lives forever. That's the power of truth. The power of second chances. The power of a love that refuses to stay buried. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Until next time, this is Mr. Ellington Love Lines, reminding you that your story isn't over yet. The best chapters might still be unwritten. And sometimes, the ending you never saw coming is exactly the one you always needed.